Hi guys. So today's discussion post primarily focused on the school-wide positive behavior support, the SWPBS. Um, and if I could sum it up, I guess in one statement, I would say that it's a proactive as well as a preventative approach to effecting meaningful behavior change in a school setting, including among staff members as well as students. And as we read in the reading, the SWPBS has three tiers. The first tier, let me start off with the first tier. The first tier is, in other words, called the primary tier. It's the foundational tier, and it supports all staff and all students across the school setting. And according to Kerr and Nelson, when it's fully implemented, around 80% of students will be successful. Now, there are around 9 steps to the interventions. These are the 9-step interventions to carrying out the function of this tier. First of all, there has to be an establishment of a school-wide team that are going to be eventually responsible to carrying out the SWPBS. It includes 8 to 12 people. And it definitely needs to include qualified members, including administrators, teacher representatives, special service faculty, parents, and potentially mature students. Second, there has to be coaches that are identified. And what I mean by coaches is these coaches are the ones that are going to be taking on the leadership role in keeping track of the training and the development as well as the implementation of the plan of the SWPBS. And so they're the ones that facilitate, develop the action plan, carry it out, and they're kind of the link between the SWPBS trainers and the school-wide team. So they definitely have a key leadership role in this. 3, there has to be engagement in activities to meet the readiness requirements. So there definitely has to be the approval of the rest of the staff members. I recall in the reading that there has to be, I think, around between 80 to 90% of staff approval. 80 to 9% of the staff need to approve on the SWPBS being implemented. And of course, and most importantly, administrators need to be committed to it. The fourth intervention to implementing the function of this tier is there has to be participation in professional development. School-wide training definitely needs to happen, and as I was reading online is that it takes 1 year of planning, and 1 year of planning which includes training, and 2 years of implementation. And during that 1 year of planning, that's where most of the professional development happens, so that teachers are better equipped to carry it out. 5, there has to be an identification of key outcomes and development of an action plan. 1, data that is needed based on areas of need or desired improvement, because that will drive, the data will drive, the identification of the key outcomes and what the plan is going to look like. Of course, the plan needs to include clear descriptions of tasks, identified team member responsibilities, and more so the deadlines to meet these tasks. 6, there has to be an adoption and the development of products to implement and monitor evidence-based practices. They were mentioning, for instance, the rules within routines matrix, where school-wide expectations are clarified, and then how these expectations are transferable to other locations, such as the classroom and the hallway. Lesson plans and teaching schedules need to be implemented so that the rules within the routine matrices are actually met. And third, there has to be student recognition programs, as well as enduring strategies to keep things going. For example, there needs to be a rewarding system. It can be a certificate. That could be an option. Another, in terms of enduring strategies, is will there be a token system or a positive behavior ticket? I don't know. I think during my experience at Olive Crest Academy, they had something called Crest Cache. And so Crest Cache is, I would probably say it's an enduring strategy to implementing the SWPBS, because it just enforced, it was kind of like a positive behavior ticket, and any teacher, regardless if it's your homeroom teacher or not, she had the authority to give you these tickets. And so I guess that's like a practical experience, hands-on experience that I saw while being at Olive Crest and applying the knowledge of this book. And seventh of all, to implement the primary level, is that there has to be investment in systems to support the staff, like how data management systems, like how data can be collected and recorded, meetings that need to be set up to hold everyone accountable. And officially, I guess the eighth point is that, like, when the SWPBS is carried out, of course there has to be an intensive refreshment for the staff. And finally, like a big kickoff, could be an assembly or a pep rally. And of course the ninth point is that there always has to be, data has to always be collected to make further decisions, and more so adjustments to the action plan in order to keep it a sustaining system within the school. So that was the universal tier. The second tier focuses on a targeted group, and they are the ones that's supposed to demonstrate at-risk behavior. And according to Kerr and Nelson, they're 15% of the student population. Now, the interventions to carry out the function of this tier is that, one, there has to be prerequisites that need to be met, and these prerequisites include such as a solid foundation. A solid foundation for the primary or the universal tier intervention, because that's a foundation for supporting the targeted students. Without it, it's not going to be successful. Another prerequisite is that all staff members need to be committed to it. Administration support is there for implementing the help for these targeted students, such as the resources. Is definitely big, time and money. So after the prerequisites are met, there has to be an establishment of a targeted intervention team. They're sometimes maybe called the child study team or the teacher assistance team. And they are the ones that are responsible for identifying these students who are not responding to the universal intervention system. And this could be done through a screening process through a system where office referrals are screened, like screening office referrals, review of teachers, and other resource nominations. And based upon that, then they start selecting appropriate interventions, selecting the program that's needed for that population, developing products for implementing the system, and finally training the staff members training the staff members based upon the program and the products that they're going to be using to help these students. And finally, and most importantly, is that there should be continuous monitoring so that data-based decisions are made for further enhancements and adjustments of the system. Now, finally, the tertiary level. It addresses intensively, as I said, individualized students, and they're the ones that demonstrate like serious behavioral problems. And according to Kerr and Nelson, that makes up around maybe 5% of the student population. It is important to note that this tertiary level is for specific individuals. So like we started off with like the general, universal for everyone, for targeted population, and then for individuals. So interventions that are carried out to carry out the function of this tier is, one, function is based on behavior support planning as foundation for designing intensive interventions. So this includes like teaching individuals social skills, or like what are the consequences for positive reinforcements. There definitely has to be like a behavior expert who is trained in applied behavior analysis and positive behavior support, to help in providing the right interventions for these students. Definitely a behavior support expert is needed in this tier. And again, decisions are always based upon data to put a plan as well as to execute it, and ultimately to make adjustments to that plan. Now, the outcome of SWPBS as a whole throughout the years has been, according to Kerr and Nelson, has proven by case studies that interventions at all levels produce desired changes. Like there's an overall desired change in student performance in schools. Now, according to the universal level, they said there's an increase in academic performance and decrease in inappropriate social behavior. Specifically on page 64, Kerr and Nelson mentioned that around 80, in one case study that they found at a school, 80 days of instructional time was gained by students, and 16 days of administrative work was saved. I don't know, that just amazed me with how much time is crucial to the implementation of the SWPBS. In terms of the targeted level, or the secondary tier, there was an increase in appropriate social and academic behavior and a decrease in inappropriate behavior. And finally, the third tier, which is the tertiary tier or the intensive tier, there was an increase in desired behavior and a decrease in undesired behavior. Another fact that really shocked me about this, mentioned by Kerr and Nelson on page 65, is that one of the positive outcomes of the tertiary tier is that there was an overall improvement in the quality of life. So evidently, there are positive outcomes of SWPBS, but more so, I would say, is that it's an effective system to be implemented in schools that are realizing that there's an overall behavioral issues among students. And if you guys have any further questions, please feel free to comment below. Thank you.